I think maybe even the better suggestion there is
just not get batter skull 2 times.
Don't just play post sideboarded. Because that way you have divine
really
offerings.
good. Yeah, that
so
is
A,
a really good
you
way.
need to test post sideboarded games anyway, and B, you have your divine offerings. So anyway, here we go. Finals of the standard portion of the Louisville, Kentucky Open here. I'm Gavin Verhey. I'm joined with Jacob Van Lunen for Star City Games Live at the Open Series, and we have finals between the dominant deck of the format, Cobblade. On your right, Mike Long, not the infamous one, and he is playing Darkblade. He's playing, the new take, or new in quotation marks, take on the Cobblade deck. And he's got some black cards, feature some of the new stuff like the Spies. On your left, Alex Gonzalez playing the traditional route, the blue-white Cobblade deck. And you were saying just a moment ago how you felt like the blue-white deck isn't as favored as it used to be. It used to be Tectonic Edge won this matchup, was a big deal. But with all the discard spells, being able to pluck Batterskull, or Stoneforge Mystic, and therefore Batterskull by proxy, out of the hand, it changes a lot. Mike Long leads with a preordain on turn 1 that often tells you that he's either searching for a 2-drop, which he didn't have, I would guess, based by the fact he didn't play one. And there's Squadron Hawk for Alex Gonzalez.
Mana Leak, maybe? Yep.
Yep, and he's got the Mana Leak. So he preordained on turn 1. And either found Mana Leak or didn't find a 2-drop to play.
Okay, so it looks like... Oh, Mike does have a Marsh Flats. So Mike's probably going to be able to pluck the Stoneforge Mystic from Alex's hand this turn.
Yeah, I mean, that's such the breaking play in this matchup. He made Alex expend. He's walked right into his little trap here. He made Alex expend Squadron Hawk last turn. It got Mana Leaked, and now Mike can make him discard his Stoneforge Mystic this turn. And now Alex, unless he's got a second one of either of those, he's going to be left with neither of the cards that he really wants to see in this matchup.
Yeah, those are definitely the two most important cards here.
So there's an Inquisition, and I think we see a hand of, I think that's Into the Royal, Spell Pierce, Stoneforge Mystic, and I can't quite make out what that last card is.
Is that a Preordain?
Yeah, I think it's Preordain. Yep, and Stoneforge Mystic easily gets taken, and Mike Long takes the opportunity to write down the contents of Alex's hand.
You just have to take Stoneforge Mystic there. It's just too strong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is the key card here. You don't want your opponent to get Batterskull. And now what would be the big blowout here is if Mike has the Stoneforge Mystic of his own to play this turn. But he doesn't. Passes back. Now, I did see a Mirror Angel flitting between Mike's fingers there. And so that can come down next turn.
That's pretty strong.
Yeah, that'll a Mirror Angel was added to the deck specifically because of the mirror match, and it can start to get out of control really fast. The tokens can block really nicely, and it also just creates a fast army for a cheap price.
Yeah, I mean, these modern Cobblade decks don't really have any spot removal, so as long as you're hitting your land drops, which you normally are when you're playing a 27 land deck, then you're just making a lot of 1/1s, which battle in the air very nicely with your opponent's Hawks.
Yeah. Immediately following this match will be coverage of the Legacy Open happening shortly. Might be a slight time delay depending on how long this match takes, but you're going to want to see all the stuff in Legacy happening too. Providence next weekend. Who knows what crazy technology will come out of the woodwork this weekend.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if people are testing their new brews for Providence this weekend, or if people are... I don't know if anybody's going to hold anything close to their chest, but...
And I think he takes away Spell Pierce there with that discard spell. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the time people want to hold their brews, but with a tournament series like this, it gives you a great opportunity to test them out ahead of time, which is huge.
Oh, yeah, I think there's a lot less value than people think in holding a brew, especially in a format like Legacy. I think the format's so wide open that holding a brew is kind of just...
depends on what the brew is. If you have like a really awesome brew that no one's going to see coming, then having a surprise edge in Legacy can be huge because you rarely get one of those. But it depends, if it's just like a modified version of an existing deck, that's another story. So Mike plays that Squadron Hawk, finds a bunch more, and he puts himself in a pretty commanding position for this game. Looks like Alex has a Mirror Angel this turn though. There's that, double cracks both the fetch lands. I'm sure he wish he could have held some of those fetch lands.
Yeah, those are especially nice with the Mirror Angel because you get to make 2 bird tokens.
Right. A little bit of landfall synergy there. Fetch lands are put in the set for a reason other than making you shuffle infinitely, and landfall is a good reason why.
Yeah, I actually love the shuffle effects in my brainstorms.
It is good with your brainstorms. It is bad for matches taking a long time, but such is life. Magic the shuffling. So now Alex got his Mirror Angel down, but Mike could play one of his own, I think. Or he's also looking at Jace, it looks like. You play the Jace, bounce the Mirror Angel. Yep. Get in with your Squadron Hawk.
Seems reasonable.
Or you just brainstorm and then block with your Hawk on the next turn. What do you think
really
you do
bad
here?
for Alex.
Bounce or brainstorm?
I think you bounce, because then if you replay his next turn and makes a guy, it doesn't matter because you just play your own Mirror Angel and make a guy, and then like you're at parity, you can just start brainstorming.
And then, yeah, you've kind of got the game under control, and you just start brainstorming over and over and over again. And
yeah, you just have an active Jace in play. And either your opponent time walks himself by running an active Jace into yours.
Right, or they play the Mirror Angel, in which case like a pseudo time walk again.
Yeah.
If you don't bounce the Mirror Angel, then he can play his own Jace, and, then maybe things aren't quite as good. So, yeah, he does do that. He bounces the Angel and serves in for 1 with Squadron Hawk.
That's going to put Alex down to 17. And, let's see.
And there's sort of War and Peace off the top for Alex Gonzalez.
Sword of War and Peace is a nice thing to naturally draw. It's especially good when your opponents don't see it coming like this. Now, and a Mirror Angel into a fetch land would be an ideal turn for him right now.
Yeah, well, there's the Angel, but I think he just passed. He doesn't have another land, and that's not good.
Be rough.
Landfall likes lands, and not having them for Alex there is a big issue. Now he can bounce that Angel again if he wants to, and send him back even further. Mike Long opts for the Duress. He sees Day of Judgment, Sword of War and Peace, into the Royal, and another card takes the Sword of War and Peace.
I like that. I think the swords are the most important cards. Whenever you see one, you pluck it if you have the chance.
Unless it's Batterskull, I guess.
Yeah,
depending on the situation.
Only a Duress can take
in this
that.
situation, Sword of War and Peace is probably better than Batterskull because it fights past Squadron Hawk, kills a Jace when he connects with your opponent. So that was a pretty bad draw for Alex there because he really wanted to save that Sword of War and Peace. Mike plays just tap the Darkslick Shores, and down comes a Squadron Hawk. And draws 2 cards off Jace. Nice little synergy there.
Yeah, Mike just essentially used his Jace activation as an Ancestral Recall.
Ancestral Bird Call. Works up nicely.
We are taking signs for both the Legacy Open right over
It is very difficult to beat that type of card advantage.
Yeah.
Draft
Or that extent of card advantage.
Before we sit you down and get started.
Especially in a control mirror match where that's what all the time it's all about. Sword of War and Peace is an okay way to get back into the game because the Squadron Hawk card advantage suddenly that doesn't matter as much. But you made him discard a Sword of War and Peace. He doesn't have another.
Yeah, when you're casting Squadron Hawks with an active Jace in play while you're brainstorming, it becomes very, very difficult to lose the game.
And Squadron Hawk chumps that Mirror Angel.
Chumping. He just wants to protect this Jace and ride card advantage to victory.
Yep. And Mike Long knows he has inevitability at this point. If he just keeps brainstorming, finds what he's looking for, it's going to be hard for him to lose. So Alex Squadron Hawks again, and keeps 2 Hawks back in his hand instead of signed Squadron Hawks. Squadron Hawk is a popular card to get signed because people love having like the Jerry, Edgar, AJ, Drew crew sign them. People love having Kibler sign them. People love having even just their friends sign them.
You get to search them up, so it's nice to give each of them their own personality. Otherwise, they all just become so boring.
I have a set of 4 Pro Tour stamped ones from drafting M11 at Pro Tours and Nationals, and my favorite one is one that has a telephone on it as a Pro Tour stamp because he calls his friends. Let's see. Down comes a Mirror Angel for Mike Long. That's going to give him a Mirror Angel to fight back as Alex is, and that'll give him a great way to keep blocking that Mirror Angel, keeping Jace around. So no longer is there really an active threat because Jace will almost certainly find Mike the lands that he needs to keep having that Angel work for him.
Yeah.
And there's a birdie. Mike's got actual bird tokens. And it looks like
his Jace was into the Royal, I believe.
Yep, he got into the Royal there. It looks like the bird is the word here in the final match with Mirror Angels on both sides.
Abounding on both sides of the table.
And there's sort of War and Peace for Mike Long, and that is the breaker. You get right past protection from white, gets you right past all those bird tokens, those actual birds.
Okay.
And whew, there's the sword. and it's going to
He
come
is
down next
sufficiently
turn.
stabilized now after a few Jace brainstorms in combination with the Squadron Hawks, and now he's able to just seal that game up.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not over yet, but that Sword of War and Peace is going to go a long way towards making it over for Alex Gonzalez. So Alex serves in with his Amira Angel, and Mike just takes 3. He's like, whatever, I mean, 3 life at this point. Not that big of a deal. You're not attacking my Jace anymore. And passes back to Mike Long. Mike draws. Looks like, is that another Amira Angel? I think so. But I think it's Sword and War and Peace time. Who do you give the sword to in this situation? Because it's going to get it through. It can't be blocked. So do you want to give it to your bigger creature, or do you want to keep, or do you want to put it on a smaller guy? It's probably just right to put it on the biggest creature you have, unless you think you have it into the Royal, in which case it's a big liability putting it on there.
Yeah, I was going to say that I might just put it on Stoneforge Mystic, but I really want to put it on a Mary Angel.
All right, so he puts it on the
There you
Angel,
go.
and he mystics in the sword, so it can't be countered. Puts it on the Angel, serves in. And this is the first time we've actually seen Sword of War and Peace connect all weekend on camera. Looks like the way this works, Alex loses 4 life, 1 for each card in his hand, and Mike gains, looks like 5 life for the 5 cards in his hand, maybe only 4 life.
Yeah, so
6 life, maybe. Wow. And down plays another land. I think he just missed a bird token trigger there.
Alex is at 8 now. Mike's at 22.
Yeah. Mike just missed a bird token.
Missed a bird token.
Yeah, he played his land and then passed the turn really fast, and no birdie for Mike. But I don't think he's going to need one right now. Now, Alex does have that Day of Judgment in his hand, and we know that he has it. And yeah, attacking with everybody here, I think that probably signifies there's a day in the future.
Whenever you see your opponent attack with everybody when it's just kind of a bad attack, you can almost always assume that they're about to cast Day of Judgment.
Man,
so
in Limited, especially when one of the premier wraths of the format is Phyrexian Rebirth, if your opponent attacks with everything, be very, very cautious because you know it's about to happen. All right, so
make your play accordingly.
Mike draws, and we know he still has his Jace. We know he has another Mirror Angel. He just drew a Stoneforge Mystic, so his levy and array of options are just going to keep growing. There's Jace.
I like just slamming a Jace here.
Yeah. And do you think you brainstorm or Fate Seal? Well, looks like Mike is going to
brainstorm. Yeah.
Looks like Mike is going to brainstorm.
Just slamming a Jace here is really good because it preempts your opponent's Jace.
Right. Yeah, playing Jace is definitely correct. Plus, I mean, it's just like the best card you could have. There is no Celestial Colonnade on Alex Gonzalez's side of the board. And now, let's see, next turn, Mike has enough mana to equip both swords with that Stoneforge Mystic and attack. And that should be
And with
lethal.
that Jace in play, it's not going to...
Yeah, and that's it. Alex concedes. So Mike Long off to a one-game head start here against Alex Gonzalez.
And those discard spells were really clutch there.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how you said the matchup played out. Like, Mike stripped Alex of the most important cards that he needed. He took away this early Stoneforge Mystic, and without it, Alex was not able to get a lot going. Now, Mirror Angel started to help, but Mike was able to battle back with his own Mirror Angel plus Jace combination. It is a strong play. So here we are in the finals, and we're going to be giving away a whole year of premium in the finals.
Ooh, a whole year?
Yeah, you can read all the great articles on the premium side, watch all the great videos of the authors we have now, and whoever might come in the future. I can't tell you who's going to be on Star City Games in the future, because I don't know. You'll have to ask the Gavin in 6 months, but I can tell you there's going to be
Future Gavin.
There's going to be more writers by the end of the year, or by this time next year, and you're going to want to be reading who those writers are, I'm sure. So no matter who we have, plus all the writers we have right now, Kibler, Mike Flores,
AJ, Jerry,
Brad Nelson, Player of the Year. And once again, like, big thing for me on Premium right now is all the video coverage you have. Like, it's great watching those guys play Magic. You can learn so much just from watching these guys play the games. Like, much like right here, except, I mean, not taking away from these players, they're both great, obviously, but when you're watching, Brad Nelson play Magic, it's truly an eye-opening experience.
Oh yeah, he's an incredible player, and he's also somebody who you can learn a lot from. He's always willing to talk to you about why plays are correct, and he's somebody who doesn't get bored of talking about it. So
the way this is going to work is, for those who don't know how this works, is we're going to ask you a question on Twitter. You're going to tell us the answer to the question, and make sure to put the hashtag SCG Premium, hashtag is #, in your tweet. You can tweet at us at SCGLOUIS if you want to, but you have to have the hashtag in there for us to enter you into the drawing for a full year of premium. If you don't win this year, you'll have the opportunity later today in the Legacy Open. But for now, we've got a question for you. Or
Do you want?
I have a question.
Okay.
So here's the question. The question is, in this top 8, there were 7 Cobblade decks. There was 1 non-Cobblade deck. Who played the non-Cobblade deck, and what archetype was he playing? We just saw him exit in the semifinals moments ago, so let us know who it was at hashtag SCG Premium, and we would be.
You could be winning a free year of premium.
A whole year. I mean, that's pretty high value considering what a year of premium costs.
And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah. I mean, if you don't have premium already,
it's a great thing to get. Like, just having something to read is so valuable. I mean, there's so much out there that's so boring that you just really don't want to deal with. Your commute, whatever, you know, biology, I don't know what you're doing in life, but when you have Star City, yeah, the creepy old guy on the bus sitting next to you. When you have Star City Games Premium and a smartphone, you can just read it anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are. You can be in class. You can be anywhere. If you go to high school, you can hold it inside of your desk.
I do not endorse.
You can.
I do not endorse these actions.
But only only in study hall, obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Or during math class, because I mean, no, but seriously,
you're learning more from reading that. Come on.
But seriously, it is really great value. I mean, if you don't have Star City Games Premium already, I mean, I always take what Richard Feldman, some great advice from him. Skip a PTQ, buy Premium instead, and it'll pay its way back in spades.
And that's actually a really good suggestion.
Right. Like
you're going to do better at all of the PTQs you play afterward.
I mean, or even if you don't play in PTQs, if you're like a trader, Jonathan Medina has some really awesome stuff. He's here this weekend, actually. We're going to try me in the booth later today. He's got some really awesome stuff on the financial side of Magic, as well as, of course, Ben Blyweiss's articles whenever a new set comes out. And you can make more money back just by buying Premium and learning from their advice.
Learning what cards you should be playing, like buying up early.
So having that information is huge. If you would have known that, maybe you would have been on to some of the big selling cards in this format. I think there are maybe some still coming out too. I think Urabrask the Hidden is a big one that might start to rise in price. If you were on Spellskite early, you could be a millionaire right now if you bought up all the Spellskites.
I did pretty well in the Spellskite market.
Yeah, it's always a good feeling when you get one of those, and it's you're just like, I got the card when it was nothing. I remember I bought
Reflecting Pool was a good one.
Reflecting Pool was good. I bought a bunch of Tarmogoyfs.
Oh, that's why one's better.
$3. I was really into Dredge at the time. We figured out, like, when they bring in like Graveyard Hate, you just bring in your Tarmogoyfs, and they're huge all the time. They force them to crack their Tormods.
They're actually just huge all the time,
but
no matter what.
What we quickly found out is they're actually just huge all the time. We were just boarding them in every single matchup. And as we found out, as you'll see in Legacy later today, Tarmogoyf is pretty big.
Alive and well.
Especially with some of the decks people are playing. In for example, the deck that Chris Van Meter used last week, it can be an 8/7. It can go up to maximum capacity if you have Planeswalker and then somehow a travel card gets in the yard, Warren Weirding. So
Warren Weirding.
Alex Gonzalez leads on Celestial Colonnade. There's a Dark Slick Shores from Mike Long.
And no discard spell. So.
No discard spell. So I think Alex is free to go for whatever he wants.
Let's see what he's got. He has the turn 2 Stoneforge. So he's going to go and he's going to tutor up Batterskull. If he doesn't already have it. And that does look like the Batterskull.
Yep. And there are
Mike's going to go ahead and he's got a Duress.
I was going to say, Mike has 2 main deck Duresses.
Very clutch.
Which allow him to pluck the Batterskull. Now, he only has 2 Duress as opposed to 4 Inquisitions and 2 Despise out of the sideboard, so the odds are not in favor of him having Duress. But if he has it, he takes away the Batterskull, which is big. Now, after sideboarding, you do have access to more Batterskulls. So it's not your only one.
Now, really tight play there from Mike Long. Mike had the Duress in his opening hand, and on turn 1, I'm not going to Duress you. I'm going to wait until you cast that turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, and I'm going to take that Batterskull from you. That's why I'm playing Duress over Despise in my deck, because it can take your Batterskull.
Yeah, and I think that's a good choice by Mike Long. I've been unimpressed with Despise, and Duress is very strong, especially in this kind of situation.
I really like Despise, but I mean, being able to take Batterskull, you can't really argue with that.
especially in a mirror match where it seems to define the matchup a lot of the time. Squadron Hawk comes down for Alex, getting 2 more. Mike plays his own Stoneforge Mystic and gets a Sword of War and Peace.
Huh, interesting. I mean, this may be telling. Mike may already have a Batterskull in his hand.
He might already have Batterskull. It's also possible that Mike just has played the matchup a lot and feels like it's pretty important. I would not put it past having Batterskull in his hand currently, though.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that Alex just played a Hawk on turn 3. So he may just want to get the Sword of War and Peace so that he can bash through an army of Hawks that may be coming at him. All right, now Alex naturally drew that Sword of Feast and Famine, so he was able to put that into play with his Stoneforge Mystic and attach it to his Squadron Hawk. This lets him connect for 3 damage. It also allows him to untap all of his lands, and Mike's going to have to discard a card. Looks like he discards a Jace the Mind Sculptor. Kind of a, if you're Alex, you have to be a little bit worried now.
or means Mike doesn't have another blue, one of the two. It's weird for a format that was so defined by Sword of Feast and Famine. We've seen relatively few Sword of Feast and Famine hits so far this weekend. It's Batterskull all the time, every time.
Yeah, that might be like the 3rd one we've seen all weekend.
And like I said, we saw our first War and Peace in this matchup. I always love the naturally drawn swords in this matchup because when you play Stoneforge Mystic, they know what's coming, right? But when you naturally draw the sword, you just get them out of nowhere sometimes. But there's Divine Offering from Mike Long to put an end to those shenanigans from Alex Gonzalez. And that'll gain Mike 3 life and get rid of Alex's sword in the process.
Now, big hiccup here. Mike Long missed a land drop. Yep. And missing your 4th land drop in the Cobblade Mirror is pretty huge.
Right. And Alex has a Mirror Angel too, which is a big problem in this matchup. You're behind on lands. Your opponent is getting more creatures from his lands every turn. Unless you lift in Day of Judgment, it's going to be in a rough spot. Now, some Cobblade players do leave in Day, but I don't think Mike has any. Let me take a look at this deck list. Yeah, Mike doesn't have any Day of Judgments.
He doesn't have access to them anywhere in a 75, I don't think.
Could not have boarded them in.
Now, Alex played another Stoneforge Mystic. I believe he went and grabbed another Batterskull. I like that play.
The guy just got the Batterskull, and so now that Batterskull might get active if Mike doesn't have a way to deal with it, and soon he's going to have a Mirror Angel. Oh yeah, here we go. Batterskull, a Mirror Angel, Hawk, Stoneforge on Alex Gonzalez's side. This seems pretty conclusive.
Yeah, I mean, he just ran away with this game. His opponent missed a 4th land drop. He had a play. He had a strong hand, and despite that duress, naturally drawing that sword was just so huge. Now, something that's interesting to note when you're playing the Cobblade decks, whenever you're not sure what equipment you should be getting, you should just be grabbing a Batterskull. That's kind of one thing we're learning here.
Yeah, it's interesting. I haven't played a ton of the matchup New Phyrexia. I've played a ton of Cobblade pre-New Phyrexia, but not a lot. And in my head, it's like, oh, well, obviously you get Sword of Feast and Famine every time, but that's not true anymore. You have to change your thought process. And a lot of the time, Baneslayer Angel is the guy you want.
Yeah. It's also nice because it forces your opponent to use a removal spell on a card that you've already gotten a card from.
Right. And there it comes down to Sword of War and Peace, but Batterskull can block because it's black, and that is not a Feast and Famine, that is a War and Peace. And there's Mike Long. He's looking a little distressed about this situation.
Yeah, I think I would rather that War and Peace be Batterskull right now, but it still wouldn't even make that big of a difference. The Mirror Angel is probably just going to run away with this game.
Oh man!
All right,
yeah, and then that's it.
Mike attacks, trying to see if Alex won't block. Alex just says, "I'll block," and Mike packs up his cards. All right, they're off to game 3 here. Mike's going to have the play. Again, Darkblade on the play is pretty strongly favored here.
Yeah, I mean, especially with all those discard spells.
He's going to have... he doesn't even need an untapped turn 1 black source in order to Inquisition or Despise that Stoneforge Mystic out of his opponent's hand. He can just do it on turn 2 if he needs to. Mike has much wider range of keepable hands in a game 3 where he's on the play. The discard spells let him keep hands without Stoneforge Mystics, whereas Alex really needs to aggressively mulligan to try to have a decent number of lands, and ideally he'd like to have a Mystic.
Players, this is a final call for the first draft opener of the day.
It's interesting just how strong Preordain is. It's
right now.
It's pretty unbelievable, the ability to just draw the exact card you want when you want it. And you also just want to draw more Stoneforge Mystics. I spoke to somebody yesterday outside who was playing Mental Misstep in a blue-white Caw-Blade deck, and they actually ended up going X2-1 yesterday.
Oh, interesting.
So
it's just so you can nab their discard spells.
Yeah, he said it was good against everybody. He said even against blue-white Caw-Blade, he was just countering Preordains, and that's really good, and it sounds really good to me. I have no problem spending 0 mana to counter a Preordain.
Yeah, I mean, especially since so many players rely on their Preordains heavily this weekend too.
Yeah.
If you counter against
people like lean on them pretty hard.
Yeah, you give them no opportunity to get back into the game if you do that. So players going into a tight game 3 here. We've had two Caw-Blade games here so far. One was kind of a blowout in Alex Gonzalez's favor. Another one was, I wouldn't say a blowout, but definitely pretty heavily in Mike Long's favor for most of the game. So we'll see how game 3 turns out. Mike is on the play. Will Mike Long intend to be the winner of this tournament?
I think that's somewhat likely, but it's certainly not definite.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the favorite, but who knows what could happen here.
Yeah, I mean, if Mike doesn't have the discard spell and Alex has to turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic into something like double Tech Edge on turn 4, after like let's say Mike misses his 4th land drop again, something like that. There are tons of different ways this match can go.
Yeah, I mean, it's also like, if you mulligan a couple times to make a big difference, or if you just, draw the right cards at the right time, and tight play too, so it can also be very rewarding. And we saw last game, obviously it didn't work out for Mike because he got mana short, but sat on his duress, waited for the right time to cast it, and that's something a lot of players might not do. Big thing we've talked about all weekend is how when a card has mana cost, doesn't mean you have to cast that turn. That was an excellent example of Stoneforge Mystic comes down on turn 2. He saved the duress specifically for Batterskull on turn 3. Playing it blindly on turn 1 just isn't as good.
Alex also has to be questioning his play maybe a little bit too, because I'm sure if he's something you don't really expect is to have your Batterskull to rest from you after you Stoneforge it up. There are things like Inquisition, Despise, and normally when you go and get a sword and they Inquisition you, they take your sword. But one of the great parts about fetching the Batterskull is that it's Inquisition proof. Mike's deck hedges that by having a few duresses, so Mike can actually nab the Batterskulls with his duress. Alex is mulliganing down here.
I'm sure that's exactly what Mike Long wants to see here too. In game 3, Caw-Blade Mirror, it's always and you're the one packing the discard spells. Always a relief to see your opponent take a trip to Paris.
Oh yeah, especially when you're, a blue-white black deck packing 7 discard spells.
Yeah, especially
Post-board,
even more than that,
7 or 8.
he has 8 discard spells after sideboard, 4 Inquisition, 2 Despise, 2 Duress. He has 6 in the main deck.
And he has all of those in his deck now, probably?
Yeah, almost certainly. And so there we go. We're off to the races. Mike Long, turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. There it is.
There it is.
And we're going to see Batterskull here.
We should see Batterskull.
No, he gets Sword of War Piercing, so this is interesting. Second time Mike's done this. I would guess that Mike has decided that is the important play in this matchup. He knows that they both have 4 Mirror Angels. He knows that the ground can get clogged up. He knows that the game might take a while if Batterskull starts hitting. He wants Sword of War and Peace.
That's really interesting to me. I can't disagree with him. I've mostly played Darkblade on Darkblade, and I myself have mostly played Darkblade. And I can tell you, as a Darkblade player, I'd much rather my opponent get War and Peace than Batterskull. But against Blue-White Caw-Blade, to be honest, I haven't tested it that much. And if Mike's doing that twice in a row, Mike probably knows something that I don't.
I mean, plus the thing is, the life gain from that can help race, or deal with Batterskull, or even better than Batterskull can. And if Alex has a way to kill an equipment, he has to burn it killing the Sword of War and Peace instead of killing a Batterskull, which, depending on how you're going to play, if you play to a way to make that good, it can be rather good.
Yeah, the Sword of War and Peace is interesting, though, because Alex is very clearly, if he has a Stoneforge, just going to fetch up a Batterskull, and then the Sword of War and Peace doesn't really allow him to connect because his opponent just has a Batterskull in play.
Yeah, interesting. Well,
yeah, so he's going to go ahead and
there's
put
the sword.
this
And
sword and
so
pass.
he ships back, down comes Batterskull.
Yeah.
And
here's the issue is
yeah,
Batterskull for less mana investment actually wins the battle.
Right, right. Well, Mike needs a flyer. If Mike has a flyer, then maybe he can race the Batterskull better, or at least stay on parity or so. But without a Squadron Hawk here or an Amiri Angel, it's not working out for him because the Stoneforge Mystic cannot fight through the black Germ token. Let's
This
see.
is a final call to register for the draft open. Once again, this is a final call.
Down comes the land. So Mike has another Stoneforge Mystic.
That would be very good.
He can use a Stoneforge Mystic to go find
Oh, wow.
Batterskull, perhaps,
Yeah,
or
now
another
he can
sword,
go get the Batterskull he's always wanted.
or get Feast and Famine too.
Yeah, I mean Feast and Famine when you already have
I mean,
red white sword is pretty powerful.
that's pretty brutal. Protection from everything but blue, and when you serve, it does so many things.
Yeah.
You definitely can't block it.
It deals a lot of damage. You untap all of your lands, and they have to discard a card, and you gain a ton of life. It's pretty good.
Indeed. Now, obviously, it does not have pro blue, which is the one thing it's missing, so you can Jace bounce it.
That's true.
But still, I mean, what more could you ask for? Stoneforge Mystic, you just get to build your own monster.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're Stoneforge bouncing your Stoneforge Mystics, then you're usually in a pretty good spot.
Okay, so Mike does opt for Batterskull, though. You can always slam Batterskull on that Stoneforge Mystic. So there's a War and Peace for Alex Gonzalez, and that's going to make things difficult, because that War and Peace is probably going to slide onto that Batterskull this turn, connect for 6, and then do a bunch of crazy shenanigans with its ability.
Yeah, now, if you're Mike here, do you just chump the Batterskull with your own Batterskull? The Germ token?
I feel so bad to do that, though. But then I guess you untap, equip Batterskull to your Stoneforge Mystic, and then you both have Batterskull, Sword of War and Peace creatures, and it's kind of out of hand.
Yeah, I mean, it seems better than your other options.
But
if you just take a crack
but
for
I mean,
this...
like the thing is, if you serve, right, he can just block with his pro white guy, and his guy's black, not white. Mm-hmm. So he would just eat your guy alive. So yeah, he does just chump here. Mike is really searching for a Divine Offering right now, though.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised he actually didn't get the Sword of Feast and Famine. And that might actually
Instead of the Batterskull?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he has no action in his hand, so he does need the Batterskull.
I think it's more about getting through, than that. Because I mean, Batterskull. Obviously, he didn't know Alex had the War and Peace.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, now that he does, I'm sure he wishes he would have got Sword of Fierce Feast and Famine. Let's see.
All right.
All right, cracks the fetch land here.
He's going to go down to 19 now. He's going to get a clean hit in with the Stoneforge, probably. Or does the opponent have the Into the Royal?
Well, I mean, his opponent has a Germ token that can block it. So Mike's the one who has to have a way to deal with that Germ token.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry.
Because if he ships the Batterskull onto the Stoneforge Mystic and serves, the Germ token has pro white, so he just shoves it in front of it and
He just eats it.
doesn't work out at all. Now, I think Mike just drew Divine Offering off the top.
Ooh, that's not a bad one to draw.
It's pretty good. All right, so a Divine Offering's away, the Sword of War and Peace.
I think he Divine Offering the Batterskull.
I thought he pointed out the sword, but killing the Batterskull makes more sense here. So, okay, yeah, he did target the Batterskull. I thought he targeted the sword. But, yeah. I was going to say, I was surprised that he didn't hit the Batterskull. But he did. And now...
I think... did Mike play a land yet? I don't think he did.
And I don't think he... whether he has or not, he can serve in with that Stoneforge Mystic. And I guess the Sword of War and Peace still shuts that off, though. So it's kind of at a stalemate now. If that Germ token wants to get in and connect.
Wait, he didn't play land. Did he?
Good morning, draft
I
open
think he played the Plains this
Your
turn.
pawn
Oh, okay.
assignments have been posted
Huh.
on the draft open
Okay.
board on the yellow paper. Please find your appropriate pawn. On your table will be a slip with
But
your
then again,
seat
either way,
assignment. Please
equipping
place
Batterskull doesn't
your
accomplish
appropriate
anything
seat
because of the Sword of
in
War and
front of
Peace
the
on
case.
that Germ
Your
token.
table number on
Oh, yeah, no, what I was thinking was I thought he wanted another land in place so that he could pay 3, return Batterskull, and then pay 2 and put it back into play with
Sure,
Stoneforge
sure.
and get a Germ token.
Yeah. That's possible he doesn't want to do that because he's playing around Divine Offering, which I guess I could see. Because we just saw how much of a blowout was for Alex, who didn't leave mana up to return his Batter Skull. And that really cost him. Despite all this crazy Batter Skull action going on around us, what we often forget is the fact you can just return it to your hand for 3 mana.
Yeah. I mean, having 5 mana in play, plus a Batter Skull and a Stoneforge Mystic, is very, very, very difficult to deal with. Because every time you try to kill the Batter Skull, they can just return it to their hand, they can pay 2 mana and just drop back into play as an uncounterable threat.
And this is turning into a pretty nice little game here, where the last 2 games have been a kind of runaway. It's getting pretty tight right now, and I think that the player's play is going to dictate the course of this game. They're both sitting at above 20 life totals. I guess Mike, okay, is down to 19 now, but that Germ Token is tapped, so now Mike can serve through if he wants. With that sort of War and Peace.
Now, let's see. I think Alex has another Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep, there's the Mystic.
She's going to play. And Mike's going to be forced to let this resolve, even though he has Mana Leak in his hand. Now, did Alex search for an equipment with that Stoneforge?
It didn't look like it. I think, okay. Oh, he's letting it resolve. There we go.
Oh, okay. I guess Mike was
waiting.
Mike was deciding whether or not he wanted to Mana Leak to tap out Alex.
Like this, I guess he doesn't Mana Leak, yeah. All right, so there we go. So Mike returns his Batter Skull to his hand, and he's like, well, I hope he doesn't have the Divine Offering, and he doesn't. So Batter Skull comes back, and now he's free to drop it back into play shortly. In the meantime, that sort of War and Peace can connect for Mike Long. So he plays his land first. If he's going to attack this turn, usually you want to hold your lands when you have War and Peace, or at least until post-combat. We'll see if he attacks. It's possible he's just going to stay on D.
I'd really like an attack here.
I also really like the attack here. I mean, it gains you some life.
I'd probably do it before I play my land, too.
Right. So you get the +1. All right, well, he's going to go for Preordain.
It's fine.
I guess he wants maybe some information.
You could also just draw a sort of Feast and Famine and go nuts.
Or if you draw a Stoneforge Mystic too, that also allows you to Feast and Famine up your other Mystic. Now at that point though, you do have to push a little in. You're like, well, I really hope he doesn't have anything. But we saw that he didn't have a way to kill Batter Skull.
So Into the Royal is really the only card that can punish him at all.
Into the Royal. I guess we know Alex has Batter Skull in his hand too, so he wants to make sure he doesn't just run that Mystic into a Batter Skull.
That makes sense. Ooh, Mike just drew a Hawk.
That's the card he's looking for, is a flyer.
That's pretty good here.
Yeah, I mean, do you think Alex? Do you think if you attack here, do you think Alex would put Batter Skull into play to block? Like, I don't think he would. Like, because if Mike has Divine Offering, that's just a total blowout. I don't think you can afford to lose your Batter Skull so easily. And the life swing might not actually even be that relevant.
Yeah, I mean, both their life totals are probably going to get pretty high at some point this game.
It's really
this game is turning into one of those epic mirror match games.
Yeah.
We talk about this is going to be one of those really tight play games.
Yeah, and it's really who has the tactical advantage. I feel is going to have the edge this game. So yeah, there comes down Batter Skull. So he does choose to put it in, opening himself up to a Divine Offering if Mike Long has it, but he doesn't. I mean, I mean, Mike didn't have it in the past because he didn't target that sort of War and Peace. But if you drew it that turn, like I don't think that the life total swing would have been relevant enough to risk losing your Batter Skull. But I mean, it's a safe play, maybe overly so. And now Alex has access to 6 lands, and he's trying to decide what his play is. And yeah, the board's starting to get clogged. For those of you just joining us, I'm Gavin Verhey with Jacob Van Lunen, and we're in a tight Game 3 match between two Goblet players.
Look at the boards; they're identical.
Yeah, on the left side of the board is Alex Gonzalez with double Stoneforge Mystic, Germ Token with sort of War and Peace, Germ Token with Batter Skull.
That's a Jace the Mind Sculptor.
Jace the Mind Sculptor just entered the fray, which will help out Alex Gonzalez even more. On the right side is Mike Long playing a Stoneforge Mystic. He's got a tapped Stoneforge Mystic, and he also has a Germ Token with a War and Peace and a Batterskull on it right now. So a lot of good stuff on both sides, but that Jace might put Alex in a really good position here.
Yeah, I mean, he also has double Spell Pierce, and even though Mike has a lot of mana available to him, the Spell Pierces can still have some value. Mike's probably going to have some mana, like, clogged up inside of his swords and Batterskulls and whatnot, so...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think...
Alex just draws a Mana Leak, and that actually, like, allows those to gain even more value. He can 2-for-1 himself in order to protect his Jace, which will then, in turn, refund the card advantage for him on the next turn.
I think if the game goes long, those Spell Pierces are going to end up being pretty useful for Alex Gonzalez. The question is, let's see how that Jace ends up impacting the game, and if Mike has a good answer to it. Mike needs to get that Jace off the table and ASAP. Mike's hand does not seem to yield too much. I think that is a Squadron Hawk, right? Yeah, you have to dump that Hawk, and you've got to just start plowing the field with Hawks here. So, because sort of War and Peace on a Hawk is a complete breaker. You serve through, you can kill that Jace, and everything changes. Mike serves, and Alex chumps.
So, there Mike's going to pop up to 25 there.
Yeah. Batterskull, just insanity. All right, down comes Squadron Hawk. Now, you get a bunch of Hawks here. How many of them do you cast if you're Mike Long? Do you cast all of them, or do you want to keep mana up for Batterskull?
I think I cast at least one.
Right, you definitely cast one, so you have two in case he wants, so he can't Jace bounce one. But the question is, do you want to cast all of them, or do you want to keep Batterskull bouncing mana up? Because the thing is, sort of
all of them too opens you up to like letting your opponent cast a Day of Judgment if they feel like they're behind, and if his opponent casts a Day of Judgment with a Jace in play, I really don't like his odds. So.
But I mean, what are the odds Alex throws Day in his deck?
I usually keep one in.
I often also keep one in the mirror, but see, I don't like this. I think you really want to have two Squadron Hawks here, so you can definitely equip.
Yeah, I would definitely play at least the second Squadron Hawk there.
And I think you can debate whether or not you want to play more or not. I don't know if keeping Batterskull's ability to return back is how relevant that is, simply because the Sword War Piece is the bigger issue, although you can make another Germ Token, which is kind of nice, by returning it and putting it back into play with a Stoneforge Mystic. We'll see what he does here shortly.
You know, it's...
So do you think he's going to bounce that Squadron Hawk with Jace?
I think I would.
I mean,
I think he's got a pretty big advantage that he can kind of lean on right now.
I mean, he does have Celestial Colonnade, but I mean, Sword and War Piece fights right through that. Oh, there's Squadron Hawk from Alex Gonzalez. No longer does he have to do that. And now, well, I mean,
I was actually surprised
you can still War and Peace past it, I guess, but the sort of War and Peace on Alex's side will help race that way, which is kind of silly. He can kill off the Jace.
Imagine if Alex has just been activating his Ink Moth and equipping his War and Peace every turn.
That's pretty good.
I just realized he had the Ink Moth there. I guess he would have been taking a lot of damage in the swing back. He's been tapping out every turn to remain at parity with Mike.
It's interesting about Inkmoth Nexus. We talked about this some yesterday, how in the Batterskull Wars, Inkmoth Nexus emerges the champion, because you guys are fighting back for these ridiculous life swings back and forth, and then you're just like, all right, I'll poison you. There's no good way to deal with poison in this format. So Alex does end up bouncing the Squadron Hawk with that Jace. Does not want to lose his Jace, which I don't blame him for. Then he equips War Piece to the Germ Token.
I imagine he's going to play at least one more Hawk, probably two.
And there's the Glacial Fortress off the top for Mike Long. Looks like he's gripping some Hawks, some Mana Leak. Not a ton.
I wonder what he's got going on.
And now what do you think Mike Long's play is? So he doesn't have any Hawks. His opponent has an Inkmoth Nexus. He's got an active Jace. What's your line of play?
I think I just play all three Hawks at this point.
Do you want to keep the fourth Hawk?
Isn't the fourth Hawk in his graveyard?
I mean, I just got bounced. right?
Oh, it got bounced, right? Okay.
He played his first Hawk and got a bunch more. I don't think he's played any other ones this game. So.
Okay, I thought one had gotten countered along the way. I could be wrong.
Let's see. All right, so he cracks some lands to tutor up.
Yep. So, I mean, he might just play all of them then.
I think he has all 4 Hawks. Let's see. He shuffles them all to the front of his hand. It's like, how many of these are coming down? Hawk.
1. 2.
Two Hawk.
Yeah, so he does have all 4 Hawks.
Yeah.
2 Hawks is probably plenty. I would play a 3rd, leave open Meta League mana.
3 Hawk. All right, yep, so he does just that, plays 3 and passes the turn back to Alex Gonzalez.
Now let's see what Alex does. It's a pretty clogged board, and it's also not the best board for you because I think his major goal right now is going to be to let his Jace survive. He also has a lot of cards in his hand, so an army of Hawks like that is pretty dangerous when he's fighting a Sword of War and Peace. He's going to need to start using that Sword of War and Peace to actively, gain life of his own to offset the life loss he's going to endure when Mike Long starts putting the beats on him with these Squadron Hawks. As it stands now, though, after this turn, Alex is probably going to be around 40 life.
Yeah, it's crazy how high your life total gets here, and that Inkmoth Nexus could really be a breaker right now. If you can just find a way to make it work for him. If you shovel the Sword of War and Peace on that Inkmoth Nexus, I think that can outrace anything Mike Long can do.
It stands to reason, too.
I mean, Mike doesn't even have Tectonic Edge in his deck to blow up the
Inkmoth.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But I really like just suiting up that Inkmoth Nexus. It just puts Mike on a 4-turn clock.
Yeah, I really like suiting up Inkmoth Nexuses. I think that's like one of the best cards in the mirror. When I was playing without Squadron Hawks last week, when I was playing with Nighthawks and Spellskites.
And there's looks like a Divine Offering, an old school Divine Offering.
Divine Offering with style.
See, Divine Offering, I think it was on the Sword of War and Peace. But, I mean, they're both on the same creature, just pointed in the general direction, so it's hard to know. So he bounces the Batterskull, and... Yeah.
Yeah, he...
Now...
Whatever is going on, it certainly favors Alex Gonzalez. No, I'm joking. Alex managed to deal the sword there, and here we are. We're looking at Alex now. He's about to probably equip this Hawk with a bunch of stuff. Maybe he's going to... I like activating Inkmoth and equipping. I think life total is going to get irrelevant pretty quickly here.
Well, he just...
I think both players are going to be gaining a lot of life pretty easily.
He is not... Inkmoth Nexus is just... it might as well be a Glimmer Post. He's been tapping it every single turn. Not doing anything. I don't know. That Inkmoth Nexus seems so awesome right now. I'm really surprised he hasn't been attacking with it.
I mean, all he has to do is activate Inkmoth, equip Sword and Batterskull, swing. Next turn, activate Inkmoth, equip Sword and Batterskull, swing. And his opponent really needs to use every last resource that he has to deal with the Jace. So it's just not going to. It's just not going to happen for his opponent.
Yeah. I am very surprised that hasn't been getting in there. We'll see what happens then. I mean, it's possible maybe he just doesn't see it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. And I mean, it's something you also forget about sometimes. Like, I've had games where I've taken 5 damage from a Tomb of Arami and then forgot that I had it to sacrifice and kill my opponent.
Sure. That's a card I haven't thought about for a long time. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking over Mike Long's deck list right now to see if he's worried about anything in particular, but I don't see anything that would make attack with the Inkmoth Nexus a bad proposition. I mean, it's only if you thought you had Divine Offering, I guess. But even then, you lose your Nexus, he loses his Offering.
Yeah, I mean,
if he would have cracked his Offering already.
I'm completely fine with him using Divine Offering on anything that doesn't have the word, equipment written on it.
I guess there's one dismember you could be worried about. He has a singleton dismember.
Yeah,
But
I mean,
I don't think you play around that.
I think you just have to go for it, because it's just 2 turns. If he doesn't draw it off the top or doesn't have it in his hand, you just win. Alright, activating Moth. Equip both equipment. Attack.
Alright.
Let's see what it does here.
Still no. Alright, looks like he's just going to draw 3 cards and brainstorm. So he did leave in Day of Judgment. There it is right there.
Yep, so he
doesn't
definitely
need it,
left
doesn't
in
need
at
it
least
in this
one.
situation.
Although it's not bad in this spot. Again, I'm completely fine. I'm even fine with him casting Day of Judgment and then activating his Ink Moth and then equipping it and then attacking his opponent and then his opponent having nothing in play while he has an active Jace. His opponent doesn't even have a man land on the table. Like, there's no tar pit on the right side of the table. That play is 100% safe.
I don't know. Just no Ink Moth next to you. Literally, it's been worse than a Glimmer Post. He just plays it and he never uses it. All right. Well, I mean, I think he's still in a really good position in this game, and maybe he's just thinking on some level, a different level. I would definitely be attacking with that Ink Moth Nexus right now.
Yeah.
But
I mean, maybe I would be a little too aggressive with that Ink Moth Nexus, but I would have started. I would have been attacking with that Ink Moth Nexus when I was behind on the board. So.
I mean, it's very possible that he's just like, well, I'm really far ahead this game. I have an active Jace. I'm going to win the long game. All I have to do is make sure that Mike isn't slow rolling Divine Offering or something. But if you're doing that, I feel like maybe you can safely, you could probably even safely plus 2 Jace a couple times, just to get it A, out of range, and B, just like deplete Mike's options, head towards ultimate. Let's see, what is Alex doing here? All right, another Squadron Hawk. Passes the turn.
Yeah, I'm really. I don't know why he's not attacking with the Batter Skull thing with the sword on it either.
Well, it goes back to the board. I thought there was a reason for that, but maybe not. He's playing super carefully. It reminds me of like the kid who like drafts the Collation Victory deck. He's like, well, okay, I'm not gonna kill you, but I want to cast my Collation Victory.
I mean, who doesn't want to cast their Coalition Victory? I want to cast Coalition Victory.
I guess. But I mean, the board definitely favors Alex right now, but he's not being very aggressive about it.
He's not really leaning on Mike as much as he could. He's kind of just winning and enjoying it.
All right, he's giving Mike an opportunity to climb back into this game by not attacking. We'll see what happens.
When you set your alarm to like finish your opponent off, and then you just sleep through it.
Happens to me all the time. I mean, but seriously, it seems like
he's playing well. It seems like playing very careful.
Well, yeah, it just seems like he's being very, very cautious, which I can see why you're making that line of play. Just not the line of play I would think I'd make. And there's a Jace right there. Now I think we're probably going to see a flurry of Spell Pierce, Mana Leak. Just opposite, let it die. Don't know what's in his hand. He might already have another Jace waiting back.
His opponent having some mana tap down here. This is a perfect opportunity to activate your Ink Moth Nexus.
Let's see if he does it.
It's also a fine time to just cast Day of Judgment and then activate your Ink Moth.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that too. I don't know that you really want to, that you even need to do that. It probably is bad for you. I think next Sayang. All right, let's see. So he serves. He does not activate Ink Moth Nexus. He does serve with the Batter Skull and 2 Squadron Hawks, however.
Okay. Mike's gonna go ahead and drop Batterskull of his own into play.
Right.
I assume.
So here comes Batterskull. And he can block that, bounce it. So Alex doesn't get any life. Or not. Doesn't choose to bounce it. Just going to leave that Batterskull on the battlefield.
So Mike's going to go up to 25. Alex is going to go up to 38. And... Or 44, rather. I'm sorry. And it's a Merry Angel.
Hey, Twitter shot. Someone on... Check Twitter.
Alex has 8 cards in his hand. Alex has 8 cards in his hand. Second turn, he didn't discard.
Let's see. He draws up.
Magic players, we are still taking sign-ups for today's Legacy Open. If you are interested in participating, please come on over to the main event stage where my friend Megan is more than happy to sign up. Once again, we are still taking sign-ups for today's Legacy Open. Registration is down at the far end of the main event stage.
This game might be finally coming to a close. A Mirror Angel from Alex Gonzalez even ratchets him even further ahead, and really prompts him to be aggressive because it gives him a stream of bird tokens he can attack with pretty flawlessly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to completely flood the table.
There's Sun Titan sitting in Alex Gonzalez's hand, too. It seems like he's in quite the dominating position right now. We might see Blue-White Caw-Blade win another Open, even though the Dark-Blade deck has been rising up significantly.
Yeah, I mean, right now, Alex has like such a solid grip on this game. I would really like to see him activate his Inkmoth Nexus, though.
I would also love to see that Inkmoth Nexus activated, but it doesn't look like he's going to need to win this game. It is Mike Long might finally fall here in the finals.
I actually really liked Mike's chances here, especially when he won the die roll.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he had the advantage, especially in Alice Mulligan too. But the game got into a state where it went long enough that the blue-white deck was able to capitalize. And going long, I think the blue-white deck is favored because they
have cards like Sun Titan,
right, and they have tectonic edges.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen any edges out of Alex.
Yeah, I mean, Mike has yet to draw a Creeping Tar Pit this game.
Yeah, no Creeping Tar Pits either. Well, I guess it's fair. No edges, no tar pits. In comes a 5/5 Squadron Hawk.
Yep, so Mike's going to go to 30. Alex is going to chump that with a bird.
And let's see. I mean,
if you're Nexus says poison.
if you're Alex, what's your play on your next attack step?
I think you activate Inkmoth Nexus, you equip both equipment, and you attack.
He seems to be unwilling to activate his Nexus. So let's say you don't want to activate your Nexus for whatever reason Alex has. You're worried about Divine Offering or whatever. What do you think the other avenue of play is? What creatures do you think you attack with?
I don't even really like attacks with anything besides the Nexus. Like you kind of just want to like lean on your edge. You can't really.
Well, I mean,
I guess you definitely swing with your Batterskull.
Well, you definitely attack with whatever has Sword of War and Peace on it. You can shift the sword over to a Myria Angel, for example.
Oh yeah, and then you can like get in for 5 in the air.
Yeah, because right now there's that perpetual Batterskull from Mike Long that's going to keep blocking any ground guys. Thanks to the bounce to play it back.
Yeah, more importantly, I mean, it's on a Squadron Hawk now, so it flies. He really needs to move the Sword of War and Peace over if he wants to get anything done. Alex could activate an Inkmoth Nexus this turn. Put his opponent at 5 poison counters.
Even more than that, right?
Oh, his hand is on it.
Oh, he sees it.
He may have just remembered it now.
He's like, oh yeah, that guy. It's just funny because he's been tapping it for mana every single turn. Let's see, maybe he's, nope. Let's see, did you stress that germ token into the fray? Looks like they're doing some combat math. Yep, so they're comparing life totals. There's germ token connected.
Okay. Alex will go up to, 56 now.
Sitting at 56 to Mike Long's 23. Batter skill certainly makes his games ridiculous. So does War and Peace.
Now the life total of 56, maybe he'll feel safe enough to get in there, because I think he definitely notices it now, because he held on to it there.
And there's another Mirror Angel for Alex Gonzalez. Goes up to 3 birds total.
Let's see what Mike can muster up here. He just has a mana leak in his hand, I believe. And he has a colonnade plus his board, so does not look great for Mike Long right now.
Yeah, I mean the game was close at one point, but that Jace from Alex, as Jace tends to do, really helped them pull away. I mean, he's not out of the water yet, but I mean he's in a pretty commandeering position. I don't think Alex could lose this game, but
Mike just went up to 30 now.
But it's, you never know. I mean, especially playing very conservatively, maybe Mike could eventually get back in the game.
All right. And at this point, they're both just gaining tons and tons and tons of life. I think the poison rat's the way to go, but we may want to. He may be attacking with that Batter Skull Germ Token again. Yep, he attacks with the Germ Token Batter Skull again. Let's see if Mike decides to take it or chump. Yep. Mike actually decides to loop-de-loo his Batter Skull and drop back in. So Alex will go up to 62, and Mike will go up to 34 here.
All right. Yes, this game is still happening. I mean, maybe, like, there's a Sun Titan from Alex Gonzalez.
Sun Titan's
pretty good.
Pretty good card. I mean, Mike doesn't have any way to deal with that in his deck, so.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we can see what Alex has in his graveyard to bring back.
All right, he gets back in Misty Rainforest.
Misty Rainforest.
He's got plenty of life to use for that that fetch land here.
And what's also nice now is that even if his Inkmoth Nexus dies now, he can return it back to play with the Sun Titan.
Right. So there's no good reason not to have that Inkmoth Nexus right now. And he can also return the War and Peace in case something happens to that. So he should be in a good situation. Let's see what.
To be honest, though, like he's in the finals of a big tournament. This may be one of his first matches, like, under a camera. And
I mean, camera time is pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it's also, like, hard to see all the angles. Like sometimes, like, you just miss something.
Definitely, like it's when you're under the lights, when you're in the finals. Like, you wake up early, you played all day yesterday. You wake up early, you have to play today in the finals. I mean, it's very, it's understandable. Just it seems like he would have figured out to attack with the next time. And now he's playing very careful and overly. Before, I think
he was even picking it up at one point.
Right.
So I think he recognizes it.
Before it was like actively careful. Now it's just like
stubbornness.
Yeah, it's just like, well,
like, maybe he's like, well, maybe he thinks that he waited so long to start using it that
he's like, I don't even need the Nexus. Like, We'll see what happens. Or maybe he just wants to hit 100 life. Like, you never know. People.
I mean, his opponent just played a
cool
Jace.
too.
His opponent might actually find his way back into this game.
Yeah, like, the thing is, like, closing is actually important because if Mike Long hits a Jace, does something, like, there are sequences of plays you can head back in the game, and the mirror match can swing based on what you can find, and there's a Jace for Mike Long right there.
Yeah. I mean, that can just change everything. Well, I guess Alex can just kill the Jace with an equipped flyer. Or he could kill his opponent with an Inkmoth Nexus, depending on what he decides to do here.
I mean,
Maybe
Jace is better than all, so it is important.
True.
All right, so there is a Mana Leak, and Mana Leak's back. So Alex casts Mana Leak, Mike Long Mana Leak's back, and they're fighting over a Jace, the Mind Sculptor, right now. Alex Gonzalez is cracking a Misty Rainforest. I think.
I'm surprised Mike Long Mana Leaked back as opposed to paying 3. He has 5 more lands untapped.
You mean Alex? Or do you think Mike should have just paid 3 for his Mana Leak? Yeah.
I don't understand.
I don't know unless he was really trying to tap Alex low for some reason.
I mean, I guess the Mana Leak's pretty much dead anyway right now, but you can at least shuffle it away with your Jace, right?
Yeah. I mean, the weird thing is, like, you always think these cards are dead. You're like at a point in the game where, like, oh, I'm never going to use this Spell Pierce or this Mana Leak. But then there's always some point in the game where you're like, man, I can unleash a flurry of these on some spell and get value out of them.
So Alex
use your mana
used,
pretty efficiently.
Yeah, Alex used a Mana Leak and 2 Spell Pierces on the Jace, but Mike had enough mana to counter all of it, so...
Let's see.
No. I mean, Alex is still in like an absolutely dominating position. All he has to do is activate the Inkmoth.
Yes, correct. Or just even be more aggressive with, like, his Amira Angels, too. I mean, he can just be attacking with those.
Yeah, I guess he has like 6 guys. Actually, he can just turn all of his birds sideways and lose some of them, and then the Jace will die. So
Alex is not at 6 life. What is going on?
there we are.
62 life, much better. 61 life. I don't know. I mean,
So
I mean, I've definitely seen games before where the control player just plays it out, manages to get back into it. And once again, like, I understand Alex wanted to be really careful. It's just you just have everything you could possibly want right now.
I don't know. Yeah, I really just don't understand what else you want.
Like, I mean, do you want a Jace too? You had that already, and it died because you took too long to kill your opponent. And now you're worried about Mike Long's Jace climbing back into the game. I mean, Alex has played really well in this top 8 too, so I'm kind of confused as to what's going on here. I don't know. All right, Island.
Okay, I like it.
Okay.
Come on, is there a batter skill coming out? There is.
I think you saw it.
He saw it.
I think he realized it wasn't. It might have, like, maybe he just thought it was a tectonic edge or something.
Yeah, maybe he just like missed it. It's not a big deal.
And he walked next to tectonic edge. They're pretty close. All right. He checks to see if Sword of War and Peace makes the creature deal the damage or him. I'm guessing, or the Inkmoth Nexus. It gives it. It does not give it to the creature, so it won't give him extra poison counters.
Yeah. So he wants to attack his opponent. He wants to redirect the damage to Jace, and he probably also wants to shove some birds in the red zone to attack that Jace.
I mean, if you're gonna wound with poison and redirect the damage to Jace, it doesn't really ultimately matter, right? If you attack with the birds or not. I mean, you can obviously. He's got birds to spare. He could easily just turn every creature sideways right now.
Yeah, that is Vigilance, by the way. The Inkmoth Nexus.
Yeah, we'll see if he corrects it. All right, Mike is just like.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Alex Gonzalez, our Star City Games Standard Open champion here in Louisville,
Alex
playing
is pretty
Blue White
happy.
Callblade.
Pretty happy right now. So congratulations to Alex Gonzalez.